questions 1 through 10 on the 2001 grade 12 AMC 12. The sum of two numbers is S. Suppose 3 is added to each number, and then each of the resulting numbers is doubled. What is the sum of the final two numbers? So I'll let the two numbers be A and B, and they're saying that the sum is equal to S. Now they're saying in a second scenario, you're adding 3 to each of these numbers, like that. And then you are doubling them. So you're multiplying by 2. And then you're taking the sum of those final two numbers. They're saying, what is this equal to? All right, let's solve this. So we got 2a plus 6 plus 2b plus 6. And this becomes 2a plus 2b plus 12. And if you factor out a 2, you will get 2 times a plus b plus 12. And from our very first formula, we know that a plus b is equal to s, so we can substitute that in there. So we get 2s plus 12. So number 1, the answer is E. Let Pn and Sn denote the product and the sum, respectively, of the digits of the integer n. For example, P23 is 6, S23 is 5. Suppose n is a two-digit number such that n equals Pn plus Sn. What is the units digit of n? All right, so Pn is a operation they're defining as the sum of the digits, or product rather. Right there is an example. So product of the digits. So for example, if I gave you P56, what would be the answer? You'd have to multiply 5 and 6, so it would be 5 times 6 is equal to 30. It's just some new property that they've introduced. And then similarly, Sn is the sum of the digits of n. So for example, if you have S of 56, it would be 5 plus 6, which is of course 11. So now what they're saying is that you've got a number n, capital N, and it's a two-digit number, and n is equal to Pn plus Sn. So I'll let n equal AB, like this, okay? But you have to remember, if it's a number, I have to write it in the number form, so it'd be 10a plus b, correct? Because if I write 5, 6, this is essentially the same as 5 times 10 plus 6, right? 50 plus 6. So you have to write it in this form. If you don't know what a and b are, then it wouldn't make sense to just write ab. Is it a times b? Is it a is a number and b is a number? So this is the proper way of writing it in this question. And then they're saying that 10a plus b, which is n, is equal to Pn plus Sn. So n is 10a plus b according to the letters I've chosen, and then Pn is what? It's the product, right? So if a and b are the two digits, it would be a times b. And Sn, if you remember, is the sum of the digits of n. And the digits are a and b, so it would be a plus b, like that. All right? So I think we can bring some things over. The a can be brought over here, so we have 10a minus a. And the b's cancel. We have b's on both sides, so I do this, subtract them from both sides, and they go away. So this becomes a times b, and this is 9a is a times b. If you divide both sides by a, you are left with 9 is equal to b. So in this number right here, I'll write it over here, n is equal to ab, and a we don't know, it's some digit, but b is equal to 9. And that is what they're asking for. They're asking for the units digit, which is also sometimes known as the ones digit or the last digit. So the units digit of n is 9. So number 2, the answer is E. State income tax where Kristen lives is levied at a rate of P% of the first $28,000 of annual income plus P plus 2% for any amount above $28,000. Kristen noticed that the state income tax she paid amounted to P plus 0.25% of her annual income. What was her annual income? So what I'm going to do is, instead of using P's, which will become kind of confusing, I'm going to let P equal some number, and then we'll work through this. So I'll let it equal 10%. Okay, it sounds like a pretty decent number to start with. And let's explain this question. So on her first $28,000, she's going to pay P% tax. So in our case, it's 10%, so it'll be 0.1. So 28,000 times 0.1 is $2,800. That's how much tax she's paying on her first $28,000 of income. And then anything above that, she has to pay P plus 2%. So P plus 2% would be 12%. So that would be 0.12. So let's say she made 28,000 is the base. We have to find a value greater than that. So let's just choose 32,000. Let's say her annual income was 32,000, right? You're not going to multiply 12% by 32,000. That's wrong. You have to multiply the amount that is above 28,000, right? As this question states, any amount above 28,000. So if she earned 32,000, how much above 28,000 did she earn? $4,000. Essentially 32,000 minus 28. I can just write that in there. 28,000 subtracted from 32,000. All right? So on this amount, she pays 12% tax. So if you do the math there, it's $480. So the total amount she paid was $2,800 plus $4,800, which is $2,800 plus $480, not $4,800. I'm making her pay more tax than she needs to. So $3,280. That's how much tax she paid total. And what they want you to figure out is, what is this as a percentage of her income? Well, in our example, the taxes she paid was $3,280, and the total income I chose $32,000. So if you do this calculation, it becomes 0.1025. And if you convert this into a percentage, it's 10.25%, which exactly fits our value, which, for example, we let P equal 10%. This is exactly P plus 0.25%. So we got lucky there. We didn't have to go through every single one. So the answer to number 3 is B, this one right here. The mean of 3 numbers is 10 more than the least of the numbers. And sorry, there's a typo. There's a number missing here, 15. And 15 less than the greatest. The median of the 3 numbers is 5. What is the sum? All right. So you have 3 numbers. I'll let them equal A, B, and C. And they're saying that the mean of these 3 numbers is 10 more than the least of the numbers. So if there's talking about least and greatest, we have to give these numbers a certain order. So I'll say A is greater than B and B is greater than C. So the mean, which would be A plus B plus C over 3, they're saying is 10 more than the least of the numbers. The least of the numbers is C, so C plus 10. So that's our first equation. Our next one will be the mean of the numbers is 15 less than the greatest. So again, the mean, A plus B plus C over 3, is 15 less than the greatest. So A minus 15, like that. So those are our 2 equations, and then we will work with these. But they also give us one more clue. Median of the 3 numbers is 5, so the middle number is 5. So that definitely will help us. So which equation do you want to start with? It doesn't really matter. We'll start with the first one. A plus 5 plus C over 3 is equal to C plus 10. So that means A plus 5 plus C is equal to 3C plus 30. And this looks like A is equal to 2C plus 25. All right, that's about as far as we can go there. Now let's go to the next one. A plus 5 plus C is over 3 is equal to A minus 15. So this becomes A plus 5 plus C is equal to 3A minus 45. And therefore we have 2A minus 50 is equal to C. So we've got two equations, two variables. We can most definitely solve this now. We can sub this one into here or that one into there. It doesn't really matter. Let's just work with this one. A is equal to 2C plus 25. So C we got over here was 2A minus 50. So you substitute that in. So this becomes 4A minus 100 plus 25. So we have 0, 3A minus 75. 3A is equal to 75, and therefore A is equal to 25. Great. So we've got another value. Now we just have to figure out C. Well, C is equal to 2 times A minus 50. So this looks like 50 minus 50. So C is equal to 0. Okay. So now we have A, C, and B was given to us. So they want us to find the sum. Okay, the sum of the three. So A was 25 and C was 0. So A is 25, C is 0. So the sum, 25 plus 5 plus 0 is 30. And therefore, for number 4, the answer is D. What is the product of all positive odd integers less than 10,000? So that would basically be 1 times 3 times 5 times 9, times 7 times 9, all the way ... to the last one would be 9999, right? That is the product of all positive odd integers less than 10,000. So they've given us some very interesting looking answer choices. So we have to somehow manipulate our numbers to get one of those. Okay. Now, if you are familiar with factorial, just in case you're not, n factorial is basically n times n minus 1 times n minus 2, ... all the way down to 1. Another way of writing this is the reverse, which is 1 times 2 times 3, all the way up to n. Okay? So this is factorial. And when I first looked at this right here, I thought, well, it looks very similar to a factorial. The only difference is that we don't have all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have every other one. But we can manipulate this to kind of make it similar to a factorial. So if we had 9999 factorial, what would that look like? It would be 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7, right? All the way up to 9999. You're multiplying these numbers. All right, that's what the dot. I just don't want to put in X's. It makes it confusing. Now, this is 9999 factorial. But we have every odd digit. So if I divided this by all the evens, 2 times 4 times 6 times 8, all the way up till 9998, right? If I do that on both sides, we would essentially get what we're looking for, because the odds would cancel. Sorry, the evens would cancel. So the 6s, the 8s, the 9s. So that is our strategy. So the first thing I'm going to do is what they want us to figure out. I will call it n. All right? And I will go with that. So we've got 9999 divided by 2 times 4 times 6 times 8 all the way up till 9998 would be equal to our n. But I'm going to write this out a little bit so that you don't get confused. So we've got 9999 like that, all over 2 times 4 times 6 times 8 all the way up till 9998. So what does this equal? Basically, you've got 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 all the way up till 9999, and the bottom, of course, is 2 times 4 times 6 like that all the way up till 9998. And then if you do this, you can cancel the 2's, you can cancel the 4's, you can cancel the 6's, you can cancel essentially all the even numbers, and you'll be left with 1 times 3 times 5 times 7 all the way up till 9999. And this is our n. This is what we're trying to figure out. So we have to now concentrate on this right here. So if we have this expression equal to n, how can we make it into one of the answer choices? Right there. Well, let's see. The top is probably not going to be changed for now, maybe later. But the bottom, if you factor out a 2, you'll probably be able to manipulate this. So before I do that, I want to show you what I'm doing. 2 is just 2. 4 is 2 times 2, correct? And then 6 is 2 times 3. We've got brackets, so I put in the x's. 8 is 2 times 4, and so on. You'll have 2 times 5, ... all the way till the very last one, which is 2 times 4999, like that. Okay? So that's your n. Now, the numerator stays the same for now. Now, if I factor out a 2, this is a multiplication question. It's not an addition question. If it's addition, you just factor out the 2 once. But because it's multiplication, you're factoring out 2's so many times. You're going to factor out this 2. You're going to factor out that. How many 2's am I going to take out? I'm taking out a 2 from each bracket. How many brackets are there? There's 4,999 of those, correct? So if I factor out a 2, I'm not factoring out just 1 2. I'm factoring out 2, whole bunch of them, right? 1, 2 from each of these brackets. A total of 4,999 2's. So instead of writing 4,299 2's in a row, which would be crazy, I'm going to write it like this. 2 to the power of 4999. All right, so I hope you got that. If you factored out a 2 from each of these, what do you have left? If you factor out a 2 from there, you have 1. If you factor out a 2 from there, you have 2. A 2 being factored from that term becomes 3. The next term you get a 4. Next term you get a 5. ... all the way until 4999, like that. All right? So I think we're getting somewhere now. Got 9999, 2 to the power of 4999, and this is what? It's 4999 factorial. All right? So let's see if this is one of our answer choices. 9999 factorial over 2 to the power of 4999 times 4999 factorial. Let's see, and it is not. Oh no. All right, no problem. We can continue manipulating this. I saw a lot of 10,000s there. I guess the 10,000s and 5,000s. All right, I think I know what they're doing. They multiplied top and bottom by something. I don't know why they do that. Just makes our life more difficult and adds more time to the contest when you barely have enough time. So if you multiply top and bottom by 10,000, like that, you'll probably be able to get one of the answer choices. So 2 to the 4999 and 4999 factorial like this. So if this 10,000 is broken up into 2 times 5,000, I think that will serve us better. And I hope you will be convinced. So I'm still multiplying top and bottom by 10,000. All right, the top, the numerator, 9999 factorial times 10,000 becomes 10,000 factorial. All right? And then you group this 2 with that 2, you get 2 to the power of 5,000. Group the 5,000 with 4999 factorial, and you get 5,000 factorial. And I think this is probably one of the answers. 10,000 factorial over 2 to the 5,000 times 5,000 factorial. 10,000 5D, this one. All right, so number 5, the answer is D. A telephone number has the form A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, where each letter represents a different digit. The digits in each part of the number are in decreasing order. That is, A is greater than B is greater than C, D is greater than E is greater than F, and G is greater than H is greater than I is greater than J. Furthermore, D, E, F are consecutive even integers, G, H, I, J are consecutive odd integers, and A plus B plus C is equal to 9. Find A. All right. Well, I got tired just reading that question. All right, so let's first figure out what they're saying here. So you got 10 digits in that form, A, B, C, D, all the way till J, and we have to fill them in. So our digits obviously are from 0 to 9, because there's 10 of them. Now, let's concentrate on this part right here. It's consecutive odd digits. So odd digits are 1, 3, 5, 7. So 1, 3, 5, 7, like that. And they have to be in decreasing order. So that's why I wrote it 7, 5, 3, 1 like that. Now let's look at the next one here. These ones are consecutive even digits. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So 2, 4, 6. And they are also in decreasing order. And then the 3 that are remaining, so in our example, I've used up everything except a 0, an 8, and a 9, I believe. You've got to put those in there also in decreasing order. So 9, 8, and 0. The final criteria is that A plus B plus C, the first 3 digits, are equal to 9. So in our case, is it equal to 9? 9 plus 8 plus 0 obviously is 17. So this is wrong, but that's just an illustration to let you know how this question is behaving. So that's fine, no problem. We can try this again. They want us to find A. All right, let's try this again. Let's whatever. I mean, it's up to you. Trial and error. The goal is that you don't have to try forever. So instead of 1, 3, 5, 7, let's try 3, 5, 7, 9. And the reason I put the 9 in here is because I've got to make these 3 equal to 9. And if 9 is one of them, the other 2 would have to be 0, right? And that's not possible. So I'm pretty sure that 9 has to go in this area. All right, the next 3, we can just stick with the same one. And if it doesn't work, we'll move to the next category, which would be 4, 6, 8. Okay, so once I've done this, what are the 3 numbers that have not put in? 0, 8, and 1. So I have to put them in decreasing order. So 8, 1, 0. Are these three equal to 9? 8 plus 1 plus 0 is indeed equal to 9. So great, we got it. So they want us to find A. A in this question is right there, 8. So the answer to number 6 is E. A charity sells 140 benefit tickets for a total of $2,001. Some tickets sell for full price and the rest sell for half price. How much money is raised by the full price tickets? Okay, so I'll let A equal the full price tickets, and I'll let B be the half price tickets. And then we also know that there's a total of 140 that have been sold. So the tickets that were sold at half price plus the tickets that are sold at full price equal 140. And then what else do we know? We have to give them a price. So let price equal P, like that. And they tell us that the total amount is 2001. So that means the number of tickets sold at full price are A times the full price, which is P, plus the number of tickets sold at half price times half the price, which is P over 2, would be equal to 2001. So that's our second equation. So we have two equations. Unfortunately, we have three variables. Usually you need the same number of equations as variables. So if we have three variables, you would need three equations, and they don't give us three equations, but they do tell us a few important things. That the price is a whole dollar amount. So that means that P is an integer, whole dollar amount. And A and B are also integers, right? Because they represent the number of tickets. You can't have 3.7 tickets, so these are also integers. So because everything's an integer, probably going to have to do some inspection at the end. All right, okay, let's just proceed with this. So A, P plus B over P over 2. All right, so from this equation up top here, I'm going to isolate for B. So that'll give you 140 minus A. And then I'll be able to put that in this equation. So we have A times P plus 140 minus A over times P over 2 is equal to 2001, like that. So we have AP plus 70P minus AP over 2 is 2001. And this looks like AP over 2 plus 70P is 2001. We can probably factor out a P here. That gives us A over 2 plus 70 is 2001. All right, so at this point we have to use inspection. What do we know? We know P and A are both integers. And A also has a range. Price we have no idea, but A is a range, right? A plus B is 140, so A has to be between 0 and 140. You can't be more than 140 because the total number of tickets is 140. And I'm assuming that you've sold at least one, or maybe you've sold 0, but in any case, A is between 0 and 140. So you fiddle around with this. One thing I think will be beneficial is to break up 2001 into prime factors, 23 and 29. If you did that, probably help us a little bit in trying to figure out what integer values you can get for A and P. So, for example, if P is, say, 3, that would mean that that's 3, and then this expression in the bracket would be 23 times 29. You see what I mean? So if A over 2 plus 70 is equal to 23 times 29, and you solve for this, you get A is equal to 298.5. So this can't possibly be right because, first of all, A is greater than 140, so it can't be right. And also a is not an integer, so this is wrong. So that's fine. That's what trial and error, that's what inspection is all about. Let's say that instead of what we did previously, we let p equal to 23. Move 1 over there. So if that's the case, that means a over 2 plus 70 would be equal to 3 times 29. Right? That's the only other choices remaining. All right, let's solve for this. So a over 2 plus 70 is equal to 87. And therefore, this looks like we've got 17 times 2, which is 34. That will work. And what did we call p? We called it 23. I didn't even write it in there. P is 23. All right, great. Just by inspection, we found values that definitely work. A is 34, which is perfectly reasonable. 34 full price tickets, and P is $23, also reasonable. So what do they want us to figure out in the question? How much money is raised by the full price tickets? All right, so the full price tickets was A. We have 34 of them, and each of them was sold for $23. That is P, the full price. So $23, and therefore this is $782 was raised by the full price tickets. So the answer would be 7 is A. Which of the cones below can be formed from a 252-degree sector of a circle of radius 10 by aligning the two straight lines? All right, so they've got this circle here, and they've cut out a piece, and they're going to join those two segments together. And when they join them together, you glue them together, I guess, they're going to form a cone. All right? So they want you to figure out, of the 5 answer choices, they're all the same. The only differences are the numbers that they've labeled on the cone. Which one of those numbers is correct? So the first thing is to understand, if you were to join those 2 red lines that I drew, where on the cone are those 2 red lines? Think about it for a second. That is this part of the cone right here. Okay? I hope that makes sense to you. So right there, that part of the cone. So knowing that, we know that that part of the cone will be equal to 10. So we can immediately eliminate some of these that are not showing 10 as that part of the cone. We can eliminate B and D. All right? So that part of the cone is 10. We know that for a fact based on the diagram right here. So now what we have to figure out for number 8 is the radius of the small circle that is formed after this shape is created. So that is what we will focus on in this question. So first and foremost, we have to look at this big one right up here, this one, and understand that this is the chopped segment of the original circumference. Now the original circumference is pi times diameter, and diameter is equal to 2 times radius. So the original circumference of this big circle was pi times 2 times 10, because 10 is the radius, which is 20 pi. Now, unfortunately, they cut out part of that circumference or circle, so we don't have the full 20 pi. We have only this much. So how do you figure out how much that is? What is the distance of that part of the circumference? Well, that's where this angle comes in. 252 degrees divided by the full all the way around, which is 360. If you multiply this by 20 pi, you will get the distance that I drew in blue there. So this is no problem. If you do the math, you will be able to get 0.7 times 20 pi, which is 14 pi. So that means that when you create this cone, the circle at the bottom, this circle right here at the bottom, has a circumference of 14 pi. All right? So that means I'll use a different color. Circumference of the small circle, circumference S, is equal to 14 pi. And this will allow us to figure out the radius. How do you figure out circumference in terms of a formula? It's pi times 2r, and that's 14 pi. The pi's cancel, and you're left with 2r is equal to 14, and therefore r is equal to 7. So 7 is the radius of that smaller circle. So which one of these has 7 listed? It's this one right here. So the answer to number 8 is C. Let f be a function satisfying f at xy is equal to f at x divided by y for all positive real numbers x and y. If f at 500 is equal to 3, what is the value of f at 600? Okay, so we have f at xy is equal to f at x divided by y, like that. And they've told you that f at 500 is equal to 3. Find f at 600. Okay, so they want us to find f at 600. Now, 600 is representing x times y. So we have to first break up 600 into two numbers that when multiplied equals 600. Now, which two numbers? There's so many choices, right? 100 times 6, 50 times 12, and so on. But we don't have much information. The only thing they've given us is 500. F to the 500 is equal to 3. So I'm going to break it up into 500 times something, because if I do that, I'll be able to use that very valuable information. So 500 times something is equal to 600. Well, it's not a problem. Times 6 over 5. Right? I hope. Right. 100 times 6, right, is equal to 600. Okay, so that means that I broke up 600 into two numbers, x, y. So this is x. Oh boy, I used an x as a multiplication. That's going to get confusing. So I won't use x. I'll just use a bracket like that. This 500 is the x, and this 6 over 5 is the y. So this is x, this is y, and that's how I broke it up. Now we can proceed with this part of the question. It's f at x, so f at 500, over just y by itself, so 6 over 5, like that. F at 500, they gave us in the question, is 3 over 6 over 5, like that. Invert and multiply, and we get 5 over 6, and this looks like 15 over 6, and you can probably reduce this, 5 over 2. So that's your answer, and that means number 9 is C. The plane is tiled by congruent squares and congruent pentagons. As indicated, the percentage of the plane that is enclosed by the pentagons is closest to. All right, they have not given us any dimensions whatsoever, so I guess we just have to create them. We've got a square, and we've got a pentagon, and the pentagon, I believe, is drawn in a way so that the height matches from top to bottom 3 squares approximately. So if you look at this diagram pretty carefully, they don't give us any information here, so we've got to improvise. I'm just going to call this side 1 and 1 like that, and therefore this is also 1 and 1. And if you look at it, it's kind of hard to draw. I'll blow it up a little bit. So I just put a section of it on the side there. So this is our square, right? So I drew it over here, 1, 1, like that. And then beside it, you've got the pentagon. And the pentagon, it looks like it's just a square with a little bit of a triangle. And the triangle looks like it is very similar to the square, so that if you drew the height, two of those heights would be the same as the side of the square. Does that make sense? So since the side of the square is 1, the height will be a half. Right there. So that is going to be a half. All right, that's not a problem. We can figure this out now. So they want the percentage of the plane that is enclosed by pentagons. So that means they want the area of all the pentagons, all of these guys, over the total area. All right. So the total area, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So since I've labeled them all 1, it's 9 times 9. Is it a square? I'm trying to... Did they tell us that it's a square? Well, it doesn't matter. It is a square. Anyhow, now let's figure out the area of all the pentagons. Well, how many pentagons are there? I count them all. And there's 36 of them. So 36 pentagons. Not exactly the greatest way of writing this equation, but that's okay. You understand. So 36 times the area of the pentagon. Well, what is the area of the pentagon? Look at this one. It's the area of the square, which is 1 times 1, plus the area of this little triangle, which would be 1/2 base, which is 1, times height, which is a half, all over 81. So this looks like 36 times 1 plus a quarter, like that, all over 81. So this looks like 36 times 5 over 4 over 81. So we've got 36 divided by 4 is 9. So 9 times 5 is 45 over 81. That is the answer. So let's see. Oh, right. They want a percentage. All right, so 45 over 81 is what? About 50 something? 55.5%. So 55.5, the closest one is D. So the answer to number 10 is 56. Closest.